Warning. What you're about to experience is heavily biased Vanderbilt content. Please turn away now if you're operating heavy machinery. This is your warning. Welcome into the Golden Boot Podcast. Love it. I am your host tonight, George Hancock, I guess is my last name. I don't know my last name anymore. Joined tonight by two of the best guys that I am best friends with, Cody Slavinsky, the graphics savant himself, and Mr. Vandy Chris, man of the hour. We are going to talk about Vanderbilt tonight, as you can tell, because of that lovely warning.
So, time out, George.
Time out.
If we're going to talk about Vanderbilt, we got to get this started off correctly. Not that incorrect stuff you played at the start. We got to start it off correctly.
Except that's baseball, and we're talking football.
Oh, no. He does it in football and basketball.
Oh, okay.
I would like to apologize for our new audio listeners for that whistle sound in your ear.
Yes. If you had your radio turned all the way up, your speakers are blown because that whistle is so loud. Okay, so let's get into this thing. We're going to talk Vanderbilt Commodore football. We'll give our prediction at the end. Let's start out with, I guess, the storyline of the year, which is Clark Lea is still at the helm. So with that being said, Chris, I'm going to ask you first, since you are diehard Vanderbilt. Do you have confidence in Clark Lea again? Because you had it before, lost it. Now where are you standing at it?
So I'm not going to deny several times last year I made the statement to fire the whole damn staff.
Oh, don't deny it.
I don't deny it. I don't hide from receipts, that. Bro. But I'm perfectly okay with him getting another year with all of the staff changes he made.
Uh-huh. Okay.
You know, he readily admits that he saw that there were problems internally.
Sure.
As far back as the Kentucky game last year, he saw it.
Mm-hmm.
And the changes that he's made, you know, you have to get bigger, faster, stronger. You bring in Robert Steiner from Notre Dame, who absolutely is one of the top 3 strength coaches in the country. You get him in there. You get rid of an offensive coordinator for an offense that just wasn't producing.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to make changes. What better way to go? Let's reach out to New Mexico State. You got the program builder in Jerry Kill, who has come aboard as an analyst. He will be an on-field coach during game day.
Mm-hmm.
You bring in their offensive coordinator, Tim Beck. They were putting up some numbers last year. Now everybody says, well, that's New Mexico State.
Right.
But guess what? Tim Beck has won everywhere he's been. He's a national championship coach at D2 level.
Mm-hmm.
So these guys know what they're doing.
Oh, yeah.
And you make the staff changes. Clark Lea is a genius on the defensive side. He's taken over defensive play calling.
Yeah.
I have nothing but confidence that, you know, he's made changes to get this thing right.
Yeah. So you bring up a good point, and one thing you mentioned before we went live was that Vanderbilt lost Marlon Jones today to injury for the season, which is a big loss because he was contention for the starting cornerback role. Now, do you think that kind of opens it up to where Colby Taylor probably has it essentially it's his to lose at this point now?
I think our secondary is going to be highly competitive. You got Colby Taylor.
I would hope so.
You got Dante Carter back there that can play.
Mm-hmm.
You brought back DeRicky Wright, who had transferred to Texas A&M and has returned to Vanderbilt. I don't know what happened down there in College Station, but he's back.
The Vanderbilt fans ain't complaining.
You got CJ Taylor back there.
That kid's pretty good.
There's some kids in that secondary that are going to be pretty good.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Right.
I mean, you've already heard. We heard on our show from CJ Taylor too that Colby Taylor's a stud. He said Dante Carter's a stud. So hearing that's a good thing. But one name that he brought up in the show that I have seen play that's a transfer is Randon Fontenette from TCU.
Yes.
And pairing him next to Langston Patterson is actually one of the coolest linebacker duos in the entire country. Because Langston obviously is like a madman on a mission. And then Randon Fontenette, he's very precise with his style of play.
I just want to learn from Langston how he grows that beautiful mustache. I mean, that guy has got the mustache of all mustaches in college football. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I wonder if him and Kirby Cannell are friends.
They might be.
I mean, going to rival schools, though. Everybody has that one, though, I guess.
Right. That's it. So we talked about Clark Lea. We talked about the changes. We had CJ Taylor on the show not too long ago. He's very confident in where they are as a program. Let's break down the roster. I mean, Chris, you went down the line of some playmakers. Let's start with the quarterback because there's right now there's a battle for QB1 at the helm there. So with that being said, like, where do we stand on that? Is there a front runner? Has there one been listed or emerged, or where do you think the dominoes fall, so to speak?
So I can tell you the first 2 days of practice, Nate Johnson has gone with the ones.
Okay.
But typically early in fall practice, Coach Lee has had a tendency to let guys that are farther down the depth chart get some reps early that they're not going to get later on in the season. Could that be the deal with Nate Johnson? I don't think so. I fully expect Diego Pavia to assume the starting job.
Yeah.
I'm not sure it's going to be close. And then let's not forget, you got Eli Stowers, who transferred in as a tight end, who has played quarterback all of his life, that had packages at New Mexico State where he was the quarterback.
Right.
So I think
I hope they utilize that so bad.
Exactly. I think that gets utilized. Nate Johnson can flip a game with his legs. Sure. There's some pieces in that quarterback. Everybody talks about they lost their entire quarterback room. Well, sometimes you get better by getting rid of some guys.
I was about to say, I think they did pretty well in replacing.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely. You bring in a guy that was a quarterback for a top 15 team.
Yeah,
dude can play.
Yeah, right.
You bring in a guy that won 10 games and went on the road and physically manhandled an SEC team. You bring guys like that in. That's what you got to do to get bigger, stronger, faster.
Absolutely. And one thing too from the interview the other day, and you guys are my witness. I tried to get CJ to spill the beans on the quarterback situation, and he wouldn't. I truly believe he didn't have a real answer, but the way that he talked made me believe that Diego Pavia will be the quarterback without him actually saying that, because he never said that. But I think that, because it's clear as day, he respects both guys. There's no question about that. But the way that he talked about Pavia, that's not the way you talk about a backup quarterback.
No.
It's physically impossible. And we've seen the way that Pavia plays. The dude's insane. He really is. And I like his nickname. Are we allowed to say his nickname on this show? I think we should be able to. It's freaking Pissin' Pavia. How cool is that?
I mean, you got to have a quarterback that's got some moxie, and I think he got some moxie if you can go to a rival's football field and relieve yourself on their logo.
Yeah,
that takes a little bit of moxie.
If he does that, there. if he has the moxie to do that in like a Knoxville or something like that,
I'm here for it.
I know you are.
I'm here for it.
Of course.
That would top Baker Mayfield planting the flag. I mean,
100%. Yeah, I agree entirely. I mean, the biggest thing is the quarterback room obviously is a question mark. We know that Diego's probably going to be the one that's going to take it. But what does he have? I mean, we talked about, in previous shows, about their backfield. What does Vanderbilt have in their backfield and their offensive line? Let's go through the roster and let's see, get a better viewpoint of Vanderbilt football.
So they bring back Cedric Alexander, who by the end of the year last year as a freshman had taken over the starting role at running back. I mean, obviously he's got to, to use the term again, get bigger, stronger, faster.
Yeah.
But
I think
being
he's
a
sophomore
sophomore
this year. I think he splits. I don't think he takes all the reps.
I think he splits reps too. We did bring in another transfer. People can say what they want to about the transfer portal in Vanderbilt, but we made some waves in the transfer portal. We brought in a guy that rushed for over 700 yards last year in Mexico State. You get him on the field. That gives Cedric Alexander opportunities to rest, relax, stay a little bit healthier. I mean, there's some pieces there. I expect Seti to be the starter, but I do believe that transfer in from New Mexico State is going to play a big role. And
Jamani Jones is a beast.
You still got AJ Newberry sitting back there, who's one of the fastest kids in college football.
There you go. Well,
so
now when you say fast, and you're talking about Vanderbilt, so is he faster than Bradfield?
No.
Okay, gotcha.
That takes a special kind of talent to be fast.
It does. It does. But so a guy like Quincy Skinner, do you see him having a breakout year this year?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean,
because I've heard people mention his name in circles, and that's why I was curious.
Because the way he plays fits well with Diego Pavia.
Sure. Yeah. Oh, he's very physical, and I like that.
Yeah. He's physical. Absolutely. He's got the speed. I think a name you're going to hear a lot of is Gamarion Carter.
Okay.
Who was, way down the depth chart behind gosh, I forgot the guy's name already. Transferred to Colorado. And
you ain't forgot his
Landon
name.
Humphreys. I'm serious. I'm drawing a blank.
I thought you were just saying the one we don't name.
I thought it was a he who will not be named situation. Yeah.
I still can't imagine what
gives other guys opportunities.
London Humphreys leaving to me is still weird. I don't get it. Don't get me wrong. Great receiver, got a bag. But at the end of the day, you go to Georgia to not even be guaranteed a starting spot.
I didn't understand that myself.
But to be fair though, one of the spots kind of opened up recently in Georgia, so that helps out.
Yeah, it does. That definitely helps out. Maybe he knew something. Maybe he knew insider information that was going to happen. Now,
I had a joke I was going to say, but I was like, it may not be.
Probably shouldn't. That's a very touchy subject. We'll talk about that when we talk about Georgia.
I think another name you're going to hear a lot of this year is wide receiver Junior Searle.
Yeah. Okay.
Some of these guys, like I said, they were down the roster just because, you had guys that had talent. You had guys that had speed, but you didn't have guys that, that could pull out the best in some of these backups.
Sure.
And I actually think now that they've got an opportunity to play, you're going to see something different from them.
Mm-hmm. See, and here's for everyone listening right now or watching or wherever platform you're watching this show from or listening to it. Chris is like a giddy little schoolgirl when it comes to Vanderbilt, and he knows every name on that roster. He's saying names that I have never heard of in my entire life, and I'm just
right.
Yep, sure, agreeing. So I mean, it's because look, here's the thing. Regardless of the situation, it's kind of hard to research Vanderbilt. There's not a whole lot on them. There's not a whole lot that you can say other than it depends. I mean, they got, is the new strength and conditioning coach and a new outlook on this program enough to get him over that 2-game margin that people are betting on? I mean, if it was me, I'd probably bet the over. Just because it takes a lot, and I mean a lot, to only win 2 games in your season.
Sure.
I mean,
so
in that case, I say show the video of Diego's interview. I think that's perfect leeway to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's hear from Diego Pavia.
With that, I think we're a really good team right now. Like, we got a really solid defense. Coach Lee runs a really good defense. Our offensive weapons are like through the roof. I mean, we got and our O-line is Coach K. Coach K is the truth. Our O-line coach, he is the truth. Like, hands. He was he was with Colin Kaepernick in Nevada. He was with Lamar Jackson at Louisville. So just having him is just awesome. Like, I mean, he brings the fire. We're going to be really good, and I like that they have us at 2.5. There's going to be a lot of people who bet the over who make money.
Yeah, I mean, and here's the thing. Like, he's got the moxie. He's going to say some things. I'm going to play devil's advocate here. It sounds like a man that is really trying hard to find a nice word track for people to believe in their program, because they didn't have anything to believe in before. So I mean, it's good on him. I'm kudos to him. I mean, he comes in trying to bring fresh eyes, fresh, belief into the program. So it remains to be seen. But let's talk about the defense. We've talked about offense. We've talked about weapons. Chris, you're the expert. You tell us about Vanderbilt's defense. Who do they bring back? Who do they bring in?
Okay. We got CJ Taylor back, who, of course, has been second team All SEC in the past.
Mm-hmm.
He's moving to the safety position. You got DeRicky Wright back, another safety. You got Langston Patterson at linebacker, and running beside him is a guy named Darren Agu. And when I talk about Robert Steiner and the strength coach, I can tell you, looking at some of the film from practice so far, Darren Agu looks different.
The different
this
guy,
this kid has muscled up. Along the defensive line, you got the transfer in from MTSU. You got can't even see his name. Yohanan Otara.
Oh my
Say that
goodness.
5 times fast.
Say it, yeah, 5 times fast, and say his name and he'll appear. But you got to say it right.
I'm telling you.
Don't get me excited like that.
We've got some weapons. Fontenette transferred in from TCU.
That's your biggest
there's some
transfer,
weapons.
I think, overall.
Yes.
I think so too. This kid's going to be special.
Yeah.
You'll see him
Colby
making
Taylor's
plays
gonna be the same
on.
way.
This is true. This is true. I think, like I said, they brought in so many names. It's hard to have all the names straight. But again, the biggest name in reflection to all of it, Robert Steiner, the strength coach, along the offensive line, on average, a gain of 13 pounds.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
Unbelievable.
different. That's
But see,
different.
there's one thing to think about too, and I feel like this is where Vanderbilt actually has an advantage. And obviously, Clark Lea is one of the best defensive minds in college football. There's no arguing
Yeah.
that there.
Right.
Now he's calling the defense. So that means when he hits the transfer portal for kids, he's getting guys that actually fit his system, not the system that he implements through another coach to run, but his system. So he's getting his guys.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's a huge, huge advantage for them this year. Because let's be real, if you know your job's on the line and you take over a position the whole defense per se, you're going to make sure you get the best guys that fit your style the best to get you wins now. And I genuinely believe that he did that. But his biggest, obviously it's not really a portal pickup, but his biggest offseason pickup clearly was Jerry Kill. So he's got a guy now that he trusts that is very, very good commanding the offense, essentially. He's like the general manager of the offense.
Oh, yeah.
And he's got himself to run the defense. I mean, is it possible that Vanderbilt's going to fly under the radar and actually produce a much better season than everybody could predict?
It's very possible. I mean, it's very – let's look at their season because we happen to have the schedule right here. So, starting with week 0, right, because that is week 0, you've got Virginia Tech, then you've got Alcorn State, at Georgia State, at Missouri, Alabama, at home, at Kentucky, Ball State, Texas, Auburn, South Carolina, LSU, Tennessee. So, looking at this schedule here, and Chris, I'll let you give your prediction last. Since this is your baby. But looking at it, because we do have a little bit of time left. Key notable games. Georgia State was no joke. They had
they did lose everybody. That's their biggest kicker.
Yeah, that's true. That's what I was just about to say. Georgia State lost all of their personnel practically. So they're not going to be the same team. I actually see Vanderbilt going 3-0. Virginia Tech, that'll be an interesting ball game. Week 0, I don't know, man. I know the Hokies are supposed to be something. It wouldn't surprise me if Vanderbilt went 3-0 or at least 2-1. At least 2-1 in this. If they drop the first game to Virginia Tech, then I say they pick up Alcorn State and Georgia State. At Missouri is going to be a loss. It'll be close, but I think Missouri is just going to be too much. Alabama is going to be another loss. At Kentucky depends on the type of Kentucky that we see, to be quite honest. Then you pick up a win at Ball State. Texas Texas is going to manhandle you. Auburn, probably the same way. South Carolina is up in the air. LSU will be a just ridiculous amount of points against you, and so will Tennessee. So, but here's the thing. Is it unrealistic to say they could do 4-8?
I can tell you my predictions are going to shock you.
So, that's because that's what I'm seeing is 4-8, 5-7, and that's a successful season for Vanderbilt, in my opinion.
Yeah. Just keep doubting.
Jesus.
Yeah. So I look at the schedule and I will go ahead and say they're beating Alcorn State, they're beating Georgia State, and they're beating Ball State. There's a guaranteed 3 wins right there. So if the line is at +2.5, take the over because they will win at least 3 games this year, guaranteed. That being said, I have said it multiple times. I have them beating Virginia Tech. I'm not going to back off of that pick. But this is where it gets interesting. I actually think that this Vanderbilt team is going to pull off 2 wins this year that they on paper shouldn't win. but realistically, they're going to do it. I actually think Vanderbilt's going to make a bowl game this year.
Oh,
I think they're going to go 6-6.
Oh my goodness!
I'm jumping on the bandwagon with
Vanderbilt
Chris.
making a bowl game would be, I think,
it'd be awesome. It's needed. It's much needed.
It would be awesome, but it would also be more rare than a Stradivarius. So
stop it.
I'm going to go ahead and jump on the bandwagon and say they're going to win on the road at Auburn, and then they're going to bounce back the next week and keep the momentum hot and beat South Carolina.
Win on the road at Auburn? Really?
Yes.
Okay. Wow.
Pissin Pavia is going to piss in Jordan-Hare Stadium.
He's going to take that New Mexico State the moxie with him.
I mean, crap, he's got the whole team with him, so he might as well.
I know, right?
But no, I really the more I think about it, like I think the worst they're going to do is 3-9, and the best they're going to do is 6-6 this year. Anything over that, give Clark Lea a raise. And that's not even trying to trash the team. After talking to CJ Taylor, after looking at these players that they have coming in, I genuinely believe more now in Vanderbilt than I did, say, 2 weeks ago.
Oh, in the same. I think a realistic approach is 4-8, but still in yet. Chris, go ahead.
I'll say, okay, so I'm going to give you the realistic approach.
Okay.
I think we keep it competitive with Virginia Tech, but Virginia Tech is a team that finished last year on a 5-1 run. They returned every starter. I think we keep it competitive, but I think Virginia Tech gets that game.
Mm-hmm.
But we're beating Alcorn State. We're beating Georgia State.
Yeah.
We'll keep it close at Missouri, but I think Missouri's got a few more weapons than what we have. Missouri gets us. We're not beating Alabama. But then we go to the grocery store. The last time we went to Kroger Field, we walked out of there with a freshman quarterback and a win.
Who was that quarterback?
A.J. Swan, who is now the third stringer at LSU.
Third stringer at LSU.
I have no reason to think Kentucky's any better than they were then. They still have the same wide receivers that have drop issues.
Mm-hmm.
I think Vanderbilt goes in there and beats Kentucky. That is a very winnable game.
Okay.
We beat Ball State. We're not beating Texas. Then we go down to Jordan-Hare. The last time Diego Pavia and Eli Stowers went to Jordan-Hare, they absolutely pushed Auburn around like they were a Pop Warner football team.
Yeah.
I have no reason to expect that they can't do it again.
Okay. So
we win at Auburn.
All right.
South Carolina's bad. We're beating South Carolina and getting that monkey off our back.
Okay.
We go 6-6.
6-6. All right. Final predictions.
I've got 3 SEC wins.
Wow. I've got 4-8. Cody and Chris both tie at 6-6, boy. For the Vanderbilt Commodores. So there you have it. There's our record predictions. Hey, make sure you tune into the live show Monday nights, 8:30 Central, 9:30 Eastern. It's going to be incredible. We'll have a lot of stuff to talk about. But with that being said, we appreciate you guys. Stay golden. We will see you next time.